Hello, welcome again. This is the continuation of a second day. Thanks for all of you that I can see are still with us. Fantastic. And more is coming tomorrow, day 3, and one day for multimedia messaging. But I suspect many of you are probably waiting now for a discussions with Silvio Kutic, the CEO and founder of Infobip. Hello, Silvio. Are you there with us? Yes, I can see you.
Hi everyone, thank you, Dario. How are you?
Hello. Thanks for agreeing to join us today. And what we'll call it a view from the top, which is a chat about not just the company, but the people behind it. And you, Silvio, have been not just CEO, but the founder of Infobip. So you shaped it. It kind of represents you as well. So we should ask you more about yourself and how that's represented. But first of all, thanks. And where are you based right now? Where are you, given the pandemic has scattered around?
Right now, this week I'm based here in Seattle, in the US, but usually I'm based out of Croatia.
Oh well, so you are across the ocean from me. So
Yeah,
good morning to you, Silvio, and
good
thanks
afternoon. Yeah,
for joining us. It must be an early wake up. We appreciate the time you give it to us. Now, let me ask you something more about yourself then, and what is known about yourself. Oh, by the way, I should tell before I do anything else, there is a Q&A section in there, and if you are for Infobip, you can claim anonymity, and we will not tell who you are, and we'll ask all the questions you want to Silvio. So please use it and abuse it. We like that. We like to put a bit of moral pressure for Silvio. I know. And if you're not from Infobip as well, you're very welcome to leave your question and answer. I can't claim the anonymity in that case. We might tell who you are. So Silvio, first of all, talking about yourself and talking about something that caught my eye when I was reading about you, you say that when you were at elementary school, you decided that you wanted to become an entrepreneur, effectively, to have your own company. That's unusual. People want to become football stars, movie stars. Why the entrepreneur?
yeah, that's correct. When I was already at the elementary school, basically I started to develop various software programs. I was already a young developer, and at that time I developed few applications, for our school library, I developed an application for the company where my father was working. So I was having fun, developing various things, but like from the scratch, like later also Infobip, this project that I started, and but I wanted to really have my own company. Even at that time it was Yugoslavia still, it was not so easy to have your own company, but I wanted to basically be in the position, to let's say create the way of working, the way of thinking, the way of how I will develop, but how the company will develop, not to be a boring but an interesting thing, to be. So that was let's say some of the main reasons, for me, and this freedom, and being an entrepreneur, it's like freedom, even you have to just work, all the time, but it's like freedom of your ideas, freedom to create whatever you want.
Well, great. Being an entrepreneur is an expression of freedom and creativity. You're saying that.
Yeah.
Actually, let's touch on upon your creativity as well. I should even say more than your creativity, your background, because you are after elementary school, you went to university. You became an engineer.
That's right.
A little parenthesis with these a view from the top. We've done a few videos, and it's incredible the amount of engineers we get that are today leading companies in the mobile ecosystem. Maybe a message for many of you: if you want to become a CEO, maybe for the mobile company, go and study engineer. But you are an electrical and computing engineer, so there was your coding, etc.
Mhm.
And in 2006, you leave university and you found Infobip. Did you do something in between? Did you go on a holiday? Did you have a break, or was it just like boom, boom, one after the other?
Yeah, so like as you mentioned, like I have a master of science like in electrical engineering, and I graduated basically, at the university. I had a little different focus on some other things, like even the whole my life, I always loved really software engineering, IT, and everything around that. At the university, I decided, to study something that really didn't change for last, let's say, 100 years, like. So like, but even before finishing, like graduating, like receiving my master, I understood, that this is not really something that I would like to pursue for my whole career, and as I like graduated, I started to work for. This is like a nice story. My first employment was at the state-owned like electrical company in Zagreb, which is the capital of Croatia,
Mhm.
and I worked there from basically the first day from 8 in the morning till 12 when I left for lunch. I said I'm going for lunch, and I never came back. That was my only like work that except Infobip in my life. So this just 4 hours. Then I escaped for lunch. I took all my stuff and I left Zagreb to go to Vodnjan in Istria. And then I continued working to work on Infobip. Infobip was like founded in 2006, as you mentioned, but like I started to work on the first projects in 2001. I graduated in 2003, and with some friends from the university, with some friends from Pula, from Istria, where I am with my brother, I started the first project, which was basically a communication platform. For my small town where I live, like Vidyan, to communicate with all the like let's say the associations, the different like businesses in the city, to communicate through a web CMS system, email communication, SMS communication. This was in 2002. But like this project failed. Then I started another project called MyNet, which was like basically a little reduced, like this first virtual community which we had. And then in 2003, this also project failed. 2003, I started to work on a project called Infobip, also with then another group of people, which basically also this project basically failed several times because like it started like a web application, but the model was not scalable. Then we started to work with premium SMS also, but we didn't like premium SMS. We've been working also for Big Brother, for example, and things like this, and somewhere in 2005, we pivoted basically, and we positioned ourselves as a communication platform, so just API, like the CPaaS of today, like API programmability, and we started basically to work in that in first with different aggregators from first from Italy, like Germany, and then globally. This was like when we started to scale. And in April 2006, I co-founded Infobip with my colleague Isabel, and who is also today the CTO. And he was like basically with me at the same university also.
Well, should I then make a parallel with the fact that you build some of the code, and if I listen to some of the marketing, some of the positioning or Infobip, there's a certain proud in it's your own infrastructure. Is that
That's
true?
correct. Yeah.
Did you put it? Did you put that in the DNA? We run our own system. Is that?
That's correct. Yeah. So we had this approach, like really, how you would say, like very engineering mindset. Like first been like solving the infrastructure problem, but like also from this infrastructure. So we call ourselves as a full stack CPaaS in this world, and what for us means full stack CPaaS. So let's say on is in our vision, to connect businesses and their end users, through basically create these seamless interactions between these two parties in this platform model. And basically, we are controlling, all the pieces, like this technology which stays in between of these two parties. And in that, we started to build from ground up, like first on low level, like basically first we developed the platform, and then we like started to develop and position our company like on a low level telecom infrastructure, so like connecting mobile operators, but also deploying SMSs and various parts of the like to connect various parts of this ecosystem, but through our technology.
Well, let me check something else about you and the company now, which is your origin or your country. I mean, you come from Pula, a place where I've got childhood memories. I love Pula, this great
Super.
city. So let's talk about that more. But in not many people probably knows worldwide Pula or Croatia. Yet Infobip, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's got a clear route, a Croatian route in there.
Mhm.
Are you happy about that? What do you think it means for Infobip? How it is to be Croatian?
Mhm. Yeah, we're not from Pula, we are from Vognani, if you know this place close to Pula, it's like
But
yeah,
you are from Pula, right?
I'm
The
from
company
Vognani.
headquarters somewhere else, but you're free. Yes.
Yeah, I'm from Vognani. Yeah, it's like
Oh,
3,700 people. It's like very important city
oh
globally.
yeah, oh, yeah. Okay, okay. Even better.
And yeah, so it's like I mean, we started from there, but and part of our management still today is like it grew with us, with the company. It grew a lot in terms of skills, knowledge, and so we have a strong, let's say, DNA in our culture, connected, to the place from where we are, basically. And yeah, so um, I think that this it's like how we define, like how I feel, people from Istria, this region, but Croatia is like so, and this is like also reflecting in the culture in the company. So we are very like friendly, collaborative in the company. We like teamwork, so we are very open. So somehow I think that like these roots from where we are defined, later also and today, like parts, of our culture in the company as well.
Well, I should tell everybody go and experience some of the culture, not just the Infobip, but as soon as you can in Croatia, which is a
Yeah,
fantastic
especially in
country.
summer, especially in summer.
Especially so. But maybe, I mean, I should experience other season as well, but some for sure. Well, coming back to Infobip as time is running, and let me see, we do have questions. I'll probably come in, so I'll ask for some of the questions later. But
Mhm.
more on Infobip right now, and the fact that Infobip, well, from Croatia, we were saying, has now become definitely a global player. You got 60 offices. Your numbers are impressive, etc. Now, how do you do it? Is it on a serious place? I'm not trying to button you up, but this is an impressive story. This is a nice story. How did you make it? Why this company, founded in 2006, became such an established player worldwide now?
Okay, one very very important thing for us is for sure, like the culture in the company. The most important is the culture, how we work together, collaborate, how we create new things, how we, like we like to innovate in what we do, and we innovated in several, like fields of the industry in which we operate today. This is for sure one thing, as you mentioned, like like we are like at our core and like very deep engineering company. So we develop in-house basically most of the things that we have in our like proposition, most of the things that are powering, like the whole technology that we basically provide to our customers. So, and so this is like culture, technology, for sure, innovation around this technology. So people, how we innovate, and for sure, like also which is connected with culture, with this like really um sense of urgency, like connected with our vision of what we are doing. But like sense of urgency, we had like very very early from 2008 already, like a big international expansion, like so we went through basically all like markets till 2010. So 4 years until we like founded the company, we've been present on already on all continents except United States, and Antarctica, of course. Yeah. And
Well,
still for now we are not present in Antarctica, but with global warming, like probably in a few years we'll be
that
having an
might
office there.
happen. You heard it here first. You heard it in Mev Connect.
Yeah, but like culture, innovation, like people, like this engineering stuff, like for example, we have like 40 different 40 data centers in different locations. So it's like really our technology is very flexible, so we own the technology. We like deployed all this technology around the world, to fulfill the different data regulation, data privacy regulation, or latencies for our customers. So it's like very flexible, and this, let's say, flexibility of the technology has allowed us to adapt to different needs for the customers and basically achieve for them like superb, customer experience, and to really have success in using our services. Let's
Oh,
say,
great.
just to sum up a little. Yeah. Sorry, Dario.
So what you were saying, if I get it right, so a sense of urgency, you wanted to do things fast, and internationalization. So you were not happy to just be in Croatia from day one. You
Yeah.
expanded. Well,
It was our luck, that Croatia is just 4.23 million people, so it's like very small market.
so you knew since the beginning that you had to grow outside as well.
Yeah.
And grown, you have grown, as we were saying. You're now 2,000 employees, 10,000 customers for the last numbers that I've read. So obviously impressive. But on top of that, you've decided 4 months ago, and you announced that Infobip was buying a strategic acquisition, OpenWave, not a small company, but one of the largest and global company as well, at the time part of Amdocs. Now, how did you came to that decision? Because you've grown organically to a global position. So why buy and why now?
Mm-hmm. Yes, thanks for the very good question. Like it's OpenMarket is the name of the. It's not
Let's call it
OpenWave. Just
OpenMarket. Apologies
yeah.
for
No worries, no
to
worries.
everybody, including OpenMarket, OpenWave, but I couldn't.
Yeah, and so like we've been bootstrapping the company from 2006 till basically last August when we closed our first round day with One Equity Partners, and but like our intention for raising capital in this private placement process that we had was primarily our primary objective was to enter the US market, and we identified, and it was this opportunity in the same moment when we closed when we've been like in the final of closing the private placement. It became available, this opportunity on the market with OpenMarket basically, which is like a really strong company here in the US in the A2P SMS, especially in the shortcode area, which is used by like the largest brands here. And so they like had, and today we together with them have like a little more than 40% of the US shortcut market share. So it's like and they have like a similar to us, very strong platform, so very strong connectivity here, positioning very similar, and they handle some of the largest global brands from here and some of the largest US, of course, if they handle more than 40% of the US market share. So it was like like in this internationalization of the company, like we've been like really well positioned in, let's say, all regions except here US, but as we all know, US is number one in IT. Some of the most known global brands are from here, so it's like a really good market and very like advanced market for the local, let's say, national market here. But some of the global brands are from here, so it's like an imperative for any like large company or for any company that wants like some global growth to be basically present, strongly present here. So this was some of the rationale why and how we came here, and I'm here today for the first time because of the corona virus, for the first time in the in OpenMarket offices here in Seattle.
Well, enjoying the Seattle view, and I heard the weather gets much better over time if you're there. So you might get some very good things coming your way. But on the following up, maybe a bit too grandiose to expect that you will reveal all your strategy now, but I'll try. We've seen the company grow, Infobip, by a nice natural internal growth. Then there's been a big acquisition driven by the market and the culture of OpenMarket. You said, it's the US, etc. But next, what's next? Should we expect more acquisition from your side, or should we expect more internal growing right now?
Yeah, so like we are so our strategy until this like strategic acquisition was organic growth. We develop, we innovate all the products that we have, and this, like we plan to continue strongly and more quicker. We are adding more and more engineers in our teams, like product managers, product marketing managers. So we are building a really, really strong team. We have on board some really, really bright people, like creating some really cool stuff every day here at Infobip. And this is our main strategy, is like to, let's say, basically create and innovate new things. Of course, now that we are like, we entered in a different model with the financial investors, like so we got a different financial perspective. It's like, so we are open, and we are looking also, of course, M&A, so to basically close some strategic gaps, maybe in technology, maybe some market share. So this is like we are looking into M&A, of course, but obviously, like in the, like, let's say, we're also getting, like, I think many of our competitors getting prepared for being listed on the stock exchange, and from that moment especially, like we'll be able to more accelerate, let's say, an acquisition strategy.
Okay, so more organic growth, but open to anything that might happen to fill in gaps and possibly an IPO. So there's still plenty on your plate. So based on that as well, so much strategically to do. A team that is growing. You mentioned it's growing, different engineers, new position field, but you also mentioned that it's important to keep a bit of an Infobip culture. You mentioned before that, right? So how do you do that? How do you grow a business to so many people, so many countries, so many offices, and you maintain a consistent experience internally, externally to the customers? What's your way of maintaining the Infobip way?
Yeah, so let's say before, so something very important for us before, like this pandemic and the corona, like now that nobody can travel, so we've been like flying everyone who we just employed to Vonyan first, like on our academy, so to see where they are, to meet people. So we've been meeting with all of them, like, this like relationship, open communication with everyone. It's like this culture, like of honest feedback, like this is very, very important, to have, like, to share the culture, like you can write it's this, like walls or anywhere, but like this somehow, like, this open communication, transparency is very, very important, and that's how, the culture gets, like spread by its own, like as a, let's say, positive way of working together.
Well, great. So culture is important, and I'm sure we will all be wanting to come and visit you now in as well, to come and see the Croatian culture in there, not just the people are in Flip. So just give us some time after the pandemic, then we'll start the holidays.
Well, you're invited.
Thank you. Well, following on that as well. So we talk about different formative years of the 2006 company, building 15 years of Infobip. Now, you have interesting stories, next steps for Infobip, but really, Infobip is a teenagers in human years, not in company years. 15 years old, it's one of those very difficult time where you can grow into something or something else. The first question is, what would you like Infobip to become in 3 to 6 years? What would you like to be known for?
Yes, I mean, 15 years is maybe not much, but for us, it's like really a lot of time, not maybe much time, like looking at a calendar, but it's like a lot of things happened, let's say, for us, but for the industry, the whole industry, like, changed a lot in the last 15 years, but really, really a lot. And in this, like, let's say, last 15 years, basically we had few different, let's say, stages of the company, positioning of the company, like of the products, but like something that's defining Infobip today, and what was defining yesterday when we started the business, and what we think will define, like really, so we want basically, with our engineering mindset that we have, like we want to be the innovator, like of the, let's say, of our space. What is our space? Like basically today is called CPaaS. Maybe tomorrow will be the name different, because also this CPaaS category is evolving with the technology, with consumer preferences, all these changes happening on this like front of customer experience, customer engagement. But like so we all basically want to be the innovator in all, let's say, B2C communication and authentication. So like, and this will change basically with the time, with the technology. But this is where we see ourselves, like we started with messaging, SMS, like most, I would say, of the people like in our industry. But like the technology has been evolving, our platform technology, so our own like product has been evolving. Like we've been adding like horizontal scalability here, other channels like voice to today's like WhatsApp, RCS, all the different OTTs like Viber, Line, video communications, like everything powered through AI. This is like really fancy today and really like useful already, like, but different technologies like horizontal will scale our platforms. I mean, for everyone in this business with augmented reality, mixed reality, these kind of things, like, and horizontal scalability. So before it was like maybe some fixed, let's say, web applications, but today it's like okay, like there is contact centers, there are like customer engagement tools, but more the industry is more moving to a flexible approach, like the flexible platform business model, of maybe headless SaaS, which means like we provide you everything for your SaaS offering, and you build the front end on your own, different like let's say open models, like through different marketplace, maybe business models. So it's like this all will allow, basically again to provide, different, like maybe more with the marketplace, also different vertical solutions, more verticalized solutions instead of just horizontal for different like industries. But it will always be in the, let's say, like helping basically businesses, companies to communicate with their end users. So it's like B2B2C, in this B2C, like we want to basically be in this space, like the innovator. And this, the technology is evolving, IoT coming in place, like all this offline world coming online, so it's like just difficult to explain what will happen in 3 to 6 years. But like, like if we look at this, like how to connect, like people, humans, with the, like more to consume more easily different services online. So the technologies are evolving, and we want to be this like technology helping to build these technological interactions between these two parties.
Let me
A,
ask
little, a
you.
little complex, but I hope you
Well,
understood.
it seems like the word today is a bit complex,
Yeah.
as well. And talking of countries, we got a questions for you, so I'll stop for a second and read it out. Which country has been the toughest for Infobip to penetrate, and why? So, where did you find it hardest to get through?
Mhm. Um, Probably United States. Probably United States. That's why we've been like very present in all regions except here in the US. First, US is very specific. We worked also before this acquisition with some of our like largest customers are from US already today. But like let's say, to go more broad on the global customers, and especially on the national market, like first it's like really really difficult to get connectivity with the mobile operators. Really difficult for us it was to set up the teams here, to set up um, so to have some really sizable business. It's like for us it was the most difficult market, to adapt. You need to adapt to any market where you're coming, for us it was like, let's say, probably the most difficult market here. Each market has its own, like differences that you need to adapt. But for us, the, let's say, hardest to let's say bring to some really scalable model was like United States.
Great. So next, in a few minutes, actually, we might just hand over the microphone to Paul Rupert, talking to Alan Mazarik, the former CEO of Vonage, Dimitri Netis, Lawrence Laskowitz, and the Professor Bruce Bloningen from University of Oregon. Each one of them a different perspective on the key questions of merger and acquisitions, and specifically CPaaS and the connectivity industry, well, where we are now. And you are squarely one of those things to be seen, one of those movements in the chess, to be considered. Now, let me ask you, what do you think, not just for Infobip, but for the entire industry? I mean, probably the questions that I'll ask them as well. What's going to happen in the next few years? You say it's complex, but there are M&As, there are IPOs. Are we going to see a market which is actually reduced to only a handful of players, or are the handful of players going to be part of much bigger? We've seen Cisco arriving and buying IMI Mobile as well. Are bigger organization going to become the home of CPaaS, or CPaaS is going to become global entities, or is still going to become a lot of national players? What's in the magic crystal ball that you might have there at Infobip? What would you say is going to happen?
Yes, I mean, everything started with simple, usability. There was this problem of the complex telecom networks, complex really for a brand, to work with many operators. So we started from SMS, from messaging, and this started really to develop in various directions in terms of CPaaS, programmable channels, but also different components of the CPaaS, which are or some building blocks or complete applications like contact center in cloud, customer engagement tools, CDP, which we saw also everyone that Twilio acquired, the number one CDP called Segment. But let's say you have some really strong technically companies positioned today. Few are really strong and with different positioning, and but and you have companies like Cisco acquiring IMI, 8x8 acquiring I think Wavecell, the name of the companies from Singapore. So you have other companies from adjacent spaces coming into the CX CPaaS space, and so how I think it's there will be some more and more larger, bigger, companies, but as we all work also with our stronger competitors in a competition, so we share resources together, I think that it will be a need, and this will be the trend, to partner with different players. So probably will have some large companies in large markets like Brazil, India, with parts of the stack, but partnering with some other maybe also competitors to, let's say, to complete the offering. So it's I see this that will function is technology evolving, innovating, but also partnership with different players is very, very important here.
So partnership, innovations, it sounds like another day at MEF. That's what we talk about every day. So yeah. Perfect. We will be still here to comment on that. I'd like to thank you, Silvio. Thanks for playing along and to this chat and to join us from Seattle. And I hope to meet you in person, and if not, in another event very soon. Thank you very much.
See you in Vignan.
Thanks. See you in Vignan. Thank you. Bye-bye.